All right. What's up, Turtle Riders? How are we all doing out there tonight, guys? Welcome to the show, the Turtle Boy Live Show. I've just shared this link, guys, to the Clarence Woods Emerson Facebook page, as well as the Turtleboy Sports Facebook page. So why don't you do me a favor, go ahead and share that for me. I'm also going to go ahead and share it on the Twitter account. I've been on Twitter for like almost 3 months now, almost 3 months without getting kicked off. That's a new record. So if you're on Turtleboy, or if you're on Twitter rather, go ahead and give me a follow over there. I'm going to go tweet it out. My handle is at Real Uncle TV. That's at Real Uncle TV. All right. There it is. Done. Okie dokie. So back to the stream. Also, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, but you know that by now. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to share the fundraiser link. Once again, what enables me to do what we do here at Turtleboy is in this day of censorship and, cancel culture, the fact of the matter is advertisers are now like a weakness more than an asset. They will just go after you. They realize the mob has figured out the formula that if you go after popular shows, advertisers, and tell them that they're supporting hate speech or whatever, anything that they don't like, of course, is hate speech, that they will go after them and get them to leave. And so it creates a situation where it's just not sustainable. So once again, if you guys would like to see the show continue and like to do what I do, please feel free to hit that donation button. If not, that's cool too. I still like you. We could be friends. Okie dokie. So with that stated, with us tonight. So last week we talked about the police reform bill that was passed by the state Senate, and then another version of it that was passed by the Massachusetts House of Representatives. And we kind of profiled all the people who voted yes on this one, rather, all the people who voted for the bill that lived in what I would call vulnerable districts. Like it was 93 to 66, I want to say was the vote. And this bill is bad news. It's bad news not only for police, but bad news for citizens because it kind of handcuffs the police. And when police can't do their job, then it affects you and I. So that's not good. It affects your property value. It affects your neighborhood, your safety, all that good stuff. And it's part of a larger movement to basically crap on police and blame them all for the actions of a rogue police officer in Minneapolis. So with that said, of those 93 people who voted yes, the fact of the matter is that a good 60 or 70 of them aren't going anywhere. You can say that you want to get rid of them all you want. It's like whining about AOC and Ilhan Omar. Like, guys, you're just stuck with them. They're not going anywhere. They win by like 85%. They're not. Just get used to them. There's some people like that. However, there's other people that voted for this bill that live in what we call purple districts, ones that can go Republican sometimes, ones that can go blue sometimes. And it's important now that we vote these people out because this is an unpopular bill in purple districts. This is a bill that craps on working class people. That's what police officers are at the end of the day. And, this might fly in Holyoke or Lawrence, something like that. But it's not going to fly in some of the districts that these people represent. And two of these people that voted for the bill were Representative Cutler, who represents Hanson, Pembroke, and I'm drawing a blank. What's the third one? I'll remember it. It'll come back to me. Down the South Shore. And the other one who represents, her name is Carol Doherty. She's somewhat new. She represents the towns of Easton and parts of Taunton. So what we're going to have tonight, we're going to have two of their challengers on tonight. And I'm going to talk about police reform. And because these two, both women, both Republican, both active, and both highly motivated after this recent police reform bill to fix up Beacon Hill. So this is Tatyana. How you doing, Tatyana?
Hi, doing great.
How are you?
Thank you.
What was the town I missed? It was Hanson, Pembroke, and
Duxbury.
And Duxbury. And okay, excellent. So she's going to join us, and she's running against Josh. Is it Josh Cutler, right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And this is Kelly Dooner. How you doing, Kelly?
Good. How are you?
And Kelly is running for the seat in the district that is in Easton and parts of Taunton, correct?
A good portion of Taunton and a small portion of Easton.
Okay, so most of the time. That's good. All right. And so that's her seat is actually was Sean O'Connell's seat. Sean O'Connell's the mayor of Taunton, and she was a state rep for a long time, and she resigned to obviously run for mayor. Her seat became open. There's a special election in what, June?
Yes, June 2nd.
And you lost, correct? Obviously.
I did.
And by how much? How much did you lose?
Just over 500 votes, so it was real close. I think the pandemic coming into play definitely had a huge effect because I wasn't able to get out there and door knock, which I had been doing. So I think that was a huge factor in it, but I'm ready to go for November.
Excellent. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about with both of you guys is the police reform bill. Tatyana, what are your objections to it?
Well, it's number one going to hit hard with the protection of our communities. You know, one of the biggest things that I'm learning as I'm door knocking is the fact, and I speak to police officers almost on a daily basis. I knock and the door gets open and, oh, it's Tatyana. Listen, my husband is a police officer or my son is a police officer. And one of the most common things I see is a flag on their house that's either an Army, Marine, Navy. And I'm like, well, hold on, you're a police officer family, but also you're a military family. And one of the biggest things I learned that I want everyone to know and understand that these families, they're truly, truly hero families. They, before they joined, a lot of them, before they joined the police force, they served our country. They were ready to sacrifice their lives for this country. They're true American patriots. They love this nation. And it breaks my heart that the hatred that is directed at them, this police reform bill that would harm them from doing, not harm them eventually, but really prevent them from doing their job to the best of their abilities.
What specifically don't you like about the bill?
The fact that they will not be free to make a on-the-spot decision of how to properly protect, how to deal with the situation, because they'll be thinking, well, wait a minute, hold on, what do I do here? If I do this, I might be taken to court and sued, so maybe I should protect my own skin. It just puts too much pressure on them.
Yeah, and that could easily lead to a situation where police choose not to get involved in something if they're afraid that they're going to get sued over it. You know, they come up to a situation where somebody's being hurt, and they might just look the other way from now on because you can't get sued if you look the other way.
As if they don't have enough on their mind going into a dangerous situation already, you know, where their life is at risk. As if they don't have enough to process. Now they need to think not just for their own life, but how it's going to, which I guess they always do think of that, but it's going to really stop them from doing their best job to protect each person that they're called to protect in that certain circumstance.
So what about you, Kelly? What don't you like about the bill?
I agree with everything that Tatyana said. It impacts their decision making on the spot. Another thing I didn't like was the no knock warrants, and on top of it affecting police officers, it also affects schools and teachers as far as their reporting. If they suspect one of their students is involved in some sort of gang or violence, they are unable to report that. So on top of it, affecting police officers, it's also affecting the teachers as well. And just, the police officers, like Tatyana said, they already have so much on their mind and there's so much pressure as is. And now they're going to be constantly worrying if every little decision they make is going to put their entire life in jeopardy and their entire future on the line over something, that they were doing in goodwill and trying to do their best.
But also firefighters too.
Yeah.
It was what?
Firefighters. My brother's a firefighter. I think about them. And nurses as well. Like, how are they all lumped into this together? It's insane.
Nurses? Well, they're not. I don't think nurses are lumped in, are they? Because they're not public servants. But I see firefighters.
It does affect the nurses as well.
It does.
Nurses and firefighters, yes.
That's interesting. Interesting. But for now, the part about the cops in school is interesting, right? Because this has been a debate for years about whether or not we should have police officers in schools. And like 4 or 5 years ago in Worcester, there was a school called North High School where there's 4 vice principals at this school, and 3 of them within a 1-month period all got punched in the face by kids. And when I say kids, I mean like 19-year-old sophomores, because it's Worcester. So basically we started kind of pushing to get cops in schools because teachers are the ones who actually wanted it. Because if you're like a 65-year-old school marm with no training whatsoever, how are you going to stop a fight? How are you going to do this and that? You're not qualified to do it. And so police officers were eventually put in. It was a big fight. And immediately within a year or two, the data showed that like suspensions were cut in half. Like infractions, violent incidents cut in half, because the presence of a police officer in a school changes that. I mean, think about that. At a city council meeting, at your local town council meeting, there's probably a detail cop, right? And so that's with like 20, 30 people in attendance. Why shouldn't there be a cop in school with 1,500 kids? I mean, some of these schools have 4,000 kids in it. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, so Kelly, what's you lost last time? How are you going to win this time? What's going to be different?
Well, I mean, I think we need a fresh new young voice in the State House. I've been saying that since the beginning, and I'm all about grassroots and door knocking. I am out door knocking from sunrise to sundown, and I'm not going to stop up until the election. I think it's really important to make that one-on-one connection and just listen to the voters and hear what they have to say, which is one thing my opponent did not do when she was making her decision at the State House, because from just my door knocking these past few weekends, people were upset with her decision, and officers as well. I don't think she consulted anybody on what she was doing. So I think going door to door and actually just listening to the voters and listening to what they have to say and what they want for the future of their district is beyond important. And just grassroots, it's so important just to get out there and knock.
Yeah, your opponent, I believe, showed up to a Basket Bill rally, right? I have a picture.
Yes, she did.
Was that after she voted for the bill?
Yes.
What was she doing there?
From my understanding, she wanted to explain her reasoning for voting no.
I assume that didn't go over well.
I don't believe so.
So she's still trying to like hang on to the police faction of the electorate.
She is. I mean, she did say she consulted with officers, but I've yet to meet an officer or come in contact with an officer who was for this police reform bill. So I'm not sure who she was meeting with, but it wasn't the officers that I've spoken with.
Tatyana, have you ever worked for office before?
No, I have not, but I do have a lot of experience working in politics. I worked for Congressman Olver out in Western Mass. Be familiar with being from out there.
I remember him.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not Western Mass though. Let's get Central Mass. I know you people think everything west of 495 is the jungle. But there's Central and then there's Western. Go ahead.
And then I worked for Senator Scott Brown when he was elected, and also a senator, U.S. senator out of North Carolina in Charlotte.
A U.S. senator? Which one is that? They have 2 senators, Tillis and who's the other one?
This was Kay Hagan, Senator Hagan. She's no longer a senator.
Are you from North Carolina?
No, I'm actually from Springfield, Massachusetts. I call Springfield my American hometown. Originally, I was.
You from Russia?
I was born in Russia.
Okay, when did you move to the United States?
So my parents brought me here with 8 of us. We're now a family of 10, but we came here in 1988 when Russia was still a communist country. So this was 32 years ago. And we came to Springfield.
Do you remember communism at all?
I remember what?
Do you remember life under communism at all?
Of course. I remember
What was it like?
very well. I could tell you that we were all required to wear the Lenin star on our lapels at school. And if you did not, then you were bullied tremendously, including by your teacher and the director of school. My 2 brothers were beaten by their teacher in front of their class for not wearing a Lenin star. in order to progress in any facet of life, including getting a higher education, you had to be part of the Communist Party. And if you were not, you just worked in a factory. So yeah, there was no freedom at all. We couldn't worship God. It had to, in fact, my great grandfather was in the gulags for 20 years, and his brother was executed on the spot for, they raided their home and found a Bible in their house. And that was the #1 forbidden book in Russia.
Yeah,
So,
no, in communist countries, they don't like having belief in God, because if you believe in God, then they want the state to become the God.
yeah, so it challenges the sovereignty of the communist regime when people say, no, I'm not going to bow down to you. I only bow down to God.
You know what's crazy is that the things you're describing right now sounds eerily similar to what's happening in the United States, in that, like, all I can think of when you're saying that is the kneeling for the anthem. Like, it's become a thing now where if players don't kneel for the anthem, they are now required to explain why. And if you aren't fully on board with Black Lives Matter and all this stuff, you're not going to advance. It's going to be very hard to, like, get jobs. Like, you could lose your jobs. A lot of people have lost their jobs in a public and private sector just for expressing wrong think and the wrong opinions. Because, like, I've compared Black Lives Matter, the organization, to a cult. Like, it's gotten white people to say some crazy shit. Like, I'm sure you guys might have seen it on your Facebook rosters, but like early June, I was reading things like, I need to check my white privilege. I need to work better and shut the fuck up and listen. I need to be a better ally. It is my job to do it. It literally sounds like a brainwashed cult. I don't know. Kelly, have you ever seen anything like that?
I have, yes.
I mean, what do you got? What do you think, Kelly, of the going back to school? Not to change the subject.
I think that we need to open up schools. Another subject when I'm out door knocking is a lot of parents, they cannot afford to stay home with their children if they're younger. And, you know, they want schools to open. And I think those are the people we should be consulting with. It shouldn't be, you know, people either without children or who don't have children in the school system. We need to be talking to the parents. And from my understanding, at least so far, the parents want schools to open.
I mean, I definitely think that, like, in Leominster, near where I live, they sent out a survey to parents, and 83% of parents said they want to go back to school in some form, and 70% of parents did. They just ignored them. The school committee ignored them, and it was a 5-4 decision, and all 5 people who voted to go back to school, none of them have kids in the schools, none of them. And so, I mean, do you guys have, Tatyana, I know you have children, right?
I have 3 little girls, and I'm a widow. So I rely on the school system to get my routine, to get my work done. I will not be able to have that without them being in school. I'd have to hire babysitters, nannies, all of that. So it's definitely a real strain. And I'm agreeing with Kelly here that our children need to be in school, and it's good for their social and mental health as well. I see how my children struggle being cooped up in the house. Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. Nobody's consulting with them, and they're not also thinking about like you have the ability, like I said, you can go hire I'm sure you wouldn't want to, but you could bring in a nanny or whatever, a babysitter, and what the idea that they're not even thinking about working class parents that come, where both parents are working, or single family homes where one parent works. They didn't even think about how this affects these families, because I mean, I gotta be honest, I'm a former teacher. I was in the teachers union. I know how this stuff works, but it's just, what do you think about Kelly, the teacher hysterics about like we're all gonna die if we go back to school?
I think that, if we can open grocery stores and Home Depot and Walmart and places like that, we can safely find a way to reopen schools. And, of course, I think you need to take the proper precautions and just make sure that we are safely doing it. But again, I think it's hurting the working families. I know people at my job alone, they are working from home, they're not getting work done, and they've told me that their children just aren't learning anything. And they've been out of school since, when was it, early March. And she said, she's thankful that she's not alone, but her children are not learning anything. And it's like, how long is that going to go on? You know, we need to talk to the parents and listen to what people want.
I completely agree. The idea that you learn from a 30-minute Zoom call with your teacher, that somehow substitutes or is good enough for now is absurd. And by the way, this doesn't end. Like, they're like, oh, we'll just do it for 1 quarter. Well, as we've seen, 2 more weeks is always 2 more weeks, and then it's 2 more weeks, and then it never ends. It's not going to be any better in November, and they're just going to try to keep doing this. So anyway, yeah, how do you feel about masks?
How do I feel about masks? You know, they're hard to breathe in. I can attest to that because I've been door knocking in severe heat, and trying to talk to people while I'm wearing one is very hard. I know that there are several studies out that contradict each other as to their efficacy and do they really prevent the spread of this virus. One side says yes, another says no. Even our, beloved Dr. Fauci at first said that they wouldn't work, and then he switched his mind. So I leave it to the scientists. I'm definitely not an expert. I could tell you that it does remind me a little bit of wearing the nuclear mask that they taught me in the former Soviet Union to wear in case of an attack. So I'm feeling muzzled, and also there's a level of alarm that people feel when I put my mask on. They immediately want to take a step back versus before I put it in, they want to approach me closer. So the mask is definitely tied to a lot of fear, and it's a psychological kind of a barrier, right? That
do you think they should be mandatory?
There. I'm sorry?
Do you think they should be mandatory?
I can't hear you.
Do you think they should be mandatory masks?
Do I think I should be mandatory? No.
Okay.
I think that people who are at high risk and people who are fearful and afraid, they have the freedom to wear it to bed if they want to. But those people who are healthy, who perhaps have no symptoms and maybe they've been tested and they know to be COVID free, they should have a freedom to make up their mind as to if they want to wear it or not.
Excellent. By the way, Turtle Riders, if you guys want to ask any questions of either candidate, feel free to list them in the comment section. I'll read them off as they come along. But so are you guys able to have, are you able to knock on doors? Do people not answer the door now because of COVID? Kelly, does that ever happen to you?
No, I have had nothing but positive reception. Nobody has said anything. And I even just, when I first started, put out the feeler just to get how people felt. And they said, nope, I'm not, what I'm doing is I'm knocking and I'm putting my palm card in the door. And then I'm stepping back just because, if somebody is afraid, I don't want to, offend them or make them uncomfortable in any way. So, I'm taking the proper precautions and I've had nothing but a positive reception. There hasn't been a single negative one about, being out there with COVID. So.
Oh, good. So it's not inhibiting your ability to campaign.
No.
How about you, Tatyana?
Same here. People, in fact, are happy that somebody's knocking on their door. One person said, oh, wow, I haven't heard the sound of my doorbell in so long. People want to invite me in. And of course I say no. I just, like Kelly, I step back to make sure there's social distancing. I do put my mask on to make everyone feel comfortable. But mostly everybody's just supremely happy to see me, to talk to me. And they say that it's an inspiration and a breath of fresh air to see someone unafraid and courageous step up.
There you go. So let me ask you a tough question here. You're both against getting rid of no-knock warrants, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the question. So Breonna Taylor, she's the girl who was killed in Louisville by police, and I believe they had a no-knock warrant for that, but it's disputed whether or not they knocked, and the guy who answered the door, the boyfriend who shot at the cop, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the story, but he claims they didn't knock, and they claim they did or whatever. But when you bring up the no-knock warrant thing, that's usually the first case that comes to mind. And this has happened many times before where cops get bad information from a confidential informant and they go to the wrong apartment and they go to the wrong house. Are you at all worried about that? Starting with Kelly.
I mean, of course, that's something to worry about, but I'm also worried about the safety of the officers showing up to the house and showing up there and, you know, say it was a domestic violence situation and having to knock and announce yourself. They're putting themselves at risk, and they're also putting, you know, the person who could be in that apartment or that house at risk as well.
Okay. And by the way, do you guys have the show on right now? Because I think, Tatyana, do you have like the show on in the background? I think there's just a little echo on your end.
Yeah, it's so hard to hear you. I don't know where the echo
It is a little hard.
Oh, it is. Okay. I'll try to speak up then. Okay. Anyway, so what do you think about the no-knock warrants? Why are you at all worried about like civil liberties or anything like that?
Me, I'm with Kelly on this one. You know, individual cases out of the ordinary happen all the time in every profession, but we cannot measure the majority of what the officers do to that one specific case. And I agree with Kelly that the priority here is the safety of the officers, and again, the efficacy of them being able to do their job well.
Yeah. So just kind of to wrap this up, I don't know if anybody else has any more questions here. Most of these things about echoes. All right. But anyway, so how do you like your odds, Tatyana, in November?
I'll tell you, from the way that my door knocking is going, I like them. I like them a lot. I know I can win Hanson. I know I can win Pembroke. And you know what? I'm going to try very hard in Duxbury as well. Just like Kelly, I am door knocking every single day. I'm out there talking to people, and they love seeing me. They love talking to me. I'm getting so many requests for lawn signs. And just like Kelly, I'm sure she'll agree, if enough people donate to both she and I, we have very winnable districts. So we do need help from folks. Even $5, $10 can help in this race.
How can they find that donation? Is it on your Facebook page?
It's on my website, which is Tatyana4ma.com, and there's a link there that takes you to the donation page. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of support, and I do like my odds a lot.
I do. So I'm not familiar with the plot. Is Hanson? Are all three of those towns? Did they vote for Donald Trump in 2016?
I'm pretty sure that Hanson did. Duxbury did not. Pembroke was very close.
Okay, so it's like literally as purple as you get.
Yeah.
And I assume Cotton probably didn't vote for Donald Trump, but probably wasn't as lopsided as other places.
Correct.
As other cities, okay.
Yeah.
And so, would you describe your district as slightly more blue or slightly more red? Who has the uphill battle, you or her?
I think I have the uphill battle only because I am running against somebody who's lived here for 50 years. I'm a lot younger than she is.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Oh, good for you.
Yes. So, I mean, she's been here a lot longer than me. She knows a lot more people than me, but I like a challenge. I think our odds are good. Like I said, somebody who's been here for 50 years versus somebody who moved here 5 years ago, I would think I should have gotten blown out of the water, and we only lost by 500. So I think that there's a real good chance for November, but like Tatyana said, the funding and fundraising and donations are so important to help keep us going.
Your websites? Or just go. Do you have a Facebook page they can follow if people want to donate?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook page, which is Kelly Dooner for State Representative, and then you can also go to my website, which is www.kelly4rep.com. You can go to either, and there's a link that'll bring you right to my donation page.
Okay. Either of you worried about your association as a Republican with Donald Trump in an election year? Because I like Donald Trump. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. I'm not happy with some of the stuff he's been doing lately his popularity numbers are tanking right now. And there might be massive blowback to that, and that you might get caught up in the mix if people just vote blue entirely down the ballot. Tatyana, are you at all worried about that? Are you a Donald Trump supporter, and are you worried about being affiliated with him?
So my response to that is that Donald Trump and I will never cross paths. I'm running for a state position on Beacon Hill. I'm not running for federal office. It doesn't matter what I feel about our president. I do, however, can tell you that a lot of folks, as soon as they hear that I'm a Republican, they say, "You got my vote." On the couple occasions that I did knock on a door, one specific one in Hanson asked me, how I feel about the president, and my response was that I supported Barack Obama. I support this president, and I will support the future one, because it's in the interest of our country to support our president always. And I got kicked off the lawn. I got chased down the lawn, and I got several F-bombs thrown at me, as well as a threat, as well as a threat to call the police. And I feel that to be very unfortunate, that such hatred could be living in someone's heart, that they could transport their hatred for one man onto me, who has nothing to do with that person.
What town was this in?
This was in Hanson a couple weeks ago.
So you knocked on someone's door, you said you were a Republican, and they chased you off their lawn?
Yeah.
Did you call the police?
I didn't call the police. They threatened to kill the police. To call the police on me. Now, mind you, they were okay with the fact that I was Republican, but all they wanted to know was if I was supportive of the president.
And you gave them the same answer you gave me.
That's how they were basing their vote. If I supported the president, as if nothing else matters. We have a state politics to worry about, and that's what I'm running for, not federal office. And all they cared about was if I was supportive of our president.
Well, that's why I asked, because unfortunately, a lot of people, Donald Trump, whether you love him or hate him, has turned people insane. And that is just how people are going to react now. Unfortunately, even in the 2018 elections, like, Republicans lost the House largely as a reaction to people just being like, screw this guy, we're going to flip our district blue. And unfortunately, people like you, like, we lost Jim Lyons. He was the head of the Massachusetts Republican Committee or whatever. He lost his district in 2018. It happened to a lot of people. Are you a Donald Trump supporter, and are you worried about being affiliated with him?
Much like Tatyana, I notice when people ask if I'm a Republican, and when I respond yes, we usually get the thumbs up and they say you have our vote. And for me, I think, people over politics is important. You're voting for the person. So anybody who, is against me because I'm a Republican and Donald Trump's a Republican, I always tell them, look at what I stand for, look at what I want to do, and look at what I plan to fight for, not what the president is doing on a federal level. Like Tatyana said, this is state politics. I will always do my best to represent my district. And I think that's what we need to focus on.
Perfect answer, because it's not like state, national politics is different from state. Like, you're not trying to build a wall with Mexico. That's not an issue that concerns you, that you'll be voting on, that will ever come in front of you if you're elected or anything like that. Your issues primarily are going to be making sure that your district gets adequate funding from the state, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what being a state rep is bringing home the bacon to your district. And, occasionally you'll have a very controversial, like this police reform bill, which hopefully Charlie Baker vetoes it. Do you guys think he will?
I hope so.
I hope so as well.
I hope so too. It's really, like, I asked people in Beacon Hill who know this stuff, like, nobody knows what he's going to do with this. Usually, whether or not the governor is going to veto or not, so you know how to handle it. I think he was surprised, and a lot of people were surprised that the bill passed by a smaller amount. It didn't get the 2/3, and so now it's like literally up to him. It is completely in his court. So we'll see what comes of that. So yeah, I really appreciate. And by the way, can I see? Before coming on tonight, had you guys ever heard of Turtleboy before?
I have.
You
I
have?
have.
Yeah.
Yes. That's all I need to know. Sure. All right, cool. Well, we're going to keep an eye on your campaign. And once again, I'm going to urge people, I'll share your Facebook pages, tell people to follow you. Really appreciate you guys coming on. And I hope you guys win because you're the change that we need in Beacon Hill. It's out of control right now. The culture against police is out of control, and we need some sanity brought there. And you guys both seem very sane. So,
Yes. Well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. We'll talk soon.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So, that was cool. Vote for both of them if you live in either districts. I saw M-Job or somebody in the comments asked about, like, shouldn't she be more concerned about Plymouth? Plymouth is not in her district. So state reps represent about 40,000 people. 60,000 people live in Plymouth. So they probably have a couple state reps in Plymouth. And she does not go that far south. But do you guys know guess how old Tatyana was? You'll never guess. I asked her how old she was. I would have guessed like 30. 31. You'll never guess how old she is. Guess. Seriously, guess in the comments right now. It'll blow your mind. How the hell did you know that, Lionel? How the fuck did you guys know how old she was? 42. A bunch of people. She does not look 42. Stop it. See that? I agree with you. 25. That's what I would have said. 25, 32. That's 42. Give me a break. Okay. So, that was cool. Definitely hook them up if you can. By the way, just refresh that dono button. I want to thank Caroline. Says Tatyana has my vote here in Hanson. Her signs are everywhere. We need to cut Cutler out. Add a baby. So good job. Okay, so let's talk about real quick story. Speaking of police reform, out of our favorite town of Hingham. Did you guys see the news yesterday? We added someone else to the Turtleboy graveyard, and that would be let's see, there it goes. That would be, where'd it go? The chief of police in Hingham, Massachusetts, our previous chief of police in Hingham, Massachusetts, Glenn Olson with 2 S's. Glenn Olson with 2 S's. He has decided to resign. And that's a great thing because this man is a disgrace to law enforcement. What he did and his lack of, PR ability, and an issue that easily could have been squashed from the beginning. The second he gets that email, you just delete it. Period. You don't respond to it. Nothing. You act like you want me to take a freaking flag off a truck. No, sorry, Max Giarusso. See you later. Instead, he gave into this kid because he's a moron. And I did not previously share this video before because I only recently saw it. But did you guys see this video? Oh my God, this video is hilarious. You got to watch this. So this is him at a Black Lives Matter rally in town. Can I blow this up? This is him at a Black Lives Matter rally in town. And a bunch of protesters are there. And he shows up with his sign. And let's see what happens. Oh, look at him. Oh, he felt so good about that sign. Oh, that never gets old. Okay, so this guy shows up. He's back in the station too with his little piece of paper. He's writing down like Black Lives Matter. All caps. All caps. Comes back to the rally. He's feeling good about himself. So they're going to fucking love me. They are going to realize that guy right there, that guy's one of the good cops. He's not like those other racist cops. We like this guy. Did you see his sign? We like this guy. So he shows up with his sign. Once again, the sign itself. Look at him. Look at it. I'm here. He goes, I'm here. He's on the sign. Look at the sign. And then she puts the chick who goes to Ayanna Presley's barbershop shows up with the friggin' megaphone, puts it in his face, and she's just yelling at him. He's like, I'm here. I'm here. He's got the fucking handmade sign. Look at my sign. Look at my sign.
You're here to contain. You're getting paid to be.
And they're like, you suck. Look at this guy. They're just going to stand there alone with a sign. He's going to follow him around with the megaphone. Goodness gracious. And, he did make no doubt about it. This guy resigned because of Turtleboy. Like, without the Turtleboy blogs calling this douchebag out for what he is, he would still be the chief of police in Hingham. He did this because we shamed him into it. If we had any more plots left in the Turtleboy graveyard, I'd throw him in there with a headstone right now. He's done. We need less cops like this. He's not a real cop, of course. Once you become a police chief, you're basically a politician. But you can still be a good police chief and not a total sellout at the same time. Like Chief Willie Gross in Boston's the best. I talked to Boston cops about this guy. They love him. They love him because he's got their back, right? He knows how to play the PR game, but he's also got their back. Cheryl Clapperud in Springfield. People say good things about her too because she has her officers back. They do. What you don't want are these pandering chiefs like that idiot in Webster. Remember him? He laid down with his hands behind his backs and his fucking gun sticking out that anybody could have stolen. Well, the crowd yelled at him. Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that. So, yeah, we do need a new Turtleboy graveyard. It's been so long. I ran out of plots, like I said. But anyway, that was a good story. Anything else here? I also wrote about the stuff with returning to school today. A couple of these I'm going to save for this weekend. Like this chick I'm saving for this weekend. What do you guys think of her? Oh my God, Kat! I got a whole thing. I want to save the best stuff for Saturday. Kat Kerwin, is that her last name? Kate Kerwin, Catherine Kerwin, whatever. Oh my goodness, how did I just find this wonderful woman right now? Oh, this little Barbie doll down in Providence got elected. She went and got herself elected to the city council. She's the white AOC, and she is on the city council down there, and she is fucking delightfully insane, but delightful nonetheless. I'd love to get her on the show. Her Facebook page is still wide open. Her dad is involved now, so I'm going to save that for Saturday because she's fucking, what a story that is. This one's been blowing up today, the story in Syracuse. Like, if I go online right now and I can actually see where people are headed, like there right now, there's 7,000 people on the website, 7,000, and I can see like where they're located. Number one cities are New York, Syracuse, and Utica. So Turtleboy is very popular in upstate New York right now because of this story and the ratchetry this one brought up. We'll save her for the weekend too. But this teacher story, I mean, this is just pissing me off more and more every day. Not only as a parent, like Tatyana said there, it's like she's going to have to hire somebody to watch her kids, right? Well, because she's trying to earn a living. And single mom, trying to earn a living, trying to run a campaign, and just at any moment, they might just drop on her. Oh, yeah, by the way, you have to stay home with your kid. Your kid doesn't get to go to school. I cannot believe this is happening. If you asked me 2 or 3 months ago, I'm like, oh, they're going to go back to school. That's not an option. They got the whole fucking summer. They'll figure something out. They haven't. They haven't figured anything out. We're still here. And the solution apparently to these people is just don't go back to school. Remote learning. I'm sorry. Remote learning is not real learning. It's not. And this chick who runs the teachers union, her name is, and like I said, I was in the teachers union. I understand how this works. I actually ran for building rep once, a 3-person election. 2 got elected. I got dead last. Okay. Because people like me don't rise in teachers unions. You understand that? Like teachers unions are run by the worst people. I like teachers. I respect what they do in the classroom, but some of these people are out of control and they are embarrassing themselves. And I don't mean all teachers, because you have no idea. Teachers more than anything are upset about this. They're coworkers. They vent to me about it because I've been in their shoes before. I know what it's like to work with a bunch of lunatics. And so these teachers, they don't want to go back to school, and they're all like, oh my God, we're going to die. Like, look at some of these signs that they had today. By the way, so they don't want to go back to school. Because it's too dangerous, right? But yet they're protesting every other freaking day, right? Like, look at all these people. There's no social distancing. But they got the mask on, don't they? Those magical masks, that 50-cent piece of cloth that somebody gave you that's been sitting in your pocket or your freaking glove box. It's been, but it's going to protect you, man. It's going to protect. So you can just gather in large crowds and it doesn't matter because you got your mask on, baby. Good for you. I mean, look at these guys. Look at some of the signs they have. Find some good ones. I mean, look at all these people. Look at them all. More fund our schools. Okay. I mean, I have no problem with funding the schools, but once you start getting into this, like, I am an educator and my life is not expendable. Oh, shut the fuck up and get over yourselves. Your life is not expendable. First of all, it is. All of our lives are expendable. At any moment, any of us could die. And that is not a reason not to go to school, because you might die. Because the fact of the matter is that data matters. And when you look at the data with this, a grand total in this state of 0 people under the age, from the age of 0 to 19, have died from common cold. 0. Okay? Of the 8,200 whatever, 5,400 are over the age of 80. Way more than half of the deaths. When you add up all of these other deaths, it comes to like what? Under 3,000? Not to minimize that, but like it's significantly a smaller percentage than what it's being made out to be. And this is the vast majority of society. Even if you got rid of 70 to 79, you get rid of that. Now we're talking what? A little over 1,000 people? That's it. I mean, I'd prefer if 1,000 people didn't die, but people were going to die either way, right? And the older you are, the more vulnerable you are. And there's no teachers are 80. That's not a thing. They've all retired by then, I hope. Kids are not in danger, and this is supposed to be about the kids. The argument, of course, is that, well, and this has been their argument the whole time, is like, well, yeah, but you might spread it. So your kid might get it, then he might spread it to this kid, and then he brings it home, and then you live with grandma, and grandma's got common cold, and boom, grandma's dead. And I'm sorry, that's not an excuse to shut down society anymore, because the virus ain't going anywhere. Eventually, you'll have to reopen the schools. And the day that you reopen schools, the virus will still exist. And as long as the virus exists and you open up schools, it will spread. Okay? So we just have to accept that as part of life, that the virus is going to spread. And if it doesn't kill you, then what the fuck does it matter? Right? What does it matter? So you got sick. Sometimes you get sick. Your body will build up the antibodies to fight it off, right? Build up your immune system. I see all these people there with the freaking hand sanitizer and the soap constantly. What are you doing? You need to build your immune system up, baby. This isn't brain surgery. You cannot hide from this disease forever. The disease is here. Luckily, it's not the Black Plague. It's not polio. You'll be fine. Odds are if you get it, unless you're 300 pounds or 80. And even then, your odds are pretty goddamn good. But this idea that they shouldn't go back is absurd. Like, did the police say that we're not going to go back? Multiple police officers in the state have contracted COVID because they deal with unruly people who spit on them. In the town next door to me, Detective Sanji, I don't want to mispronounce that, but he died from coronavirus. He battled that for months, I want to say, in a hospital in Worcester on a ventilator. Terrible. But was he not supposed to work? Right? Was the town of Rutland is not supposed to have police because he might get sick? I mean, what kind of cowardice is this? You fucking cowards. You absolute pathetic cowards. Oh, my life. Fuck your life. This isn't about you. I mean, seriously, you're a grown fucking adult. I mean, picture these people on the Titanic and they'd be like, women and children first. He's like, but my life is not expendable. Yes, it is, bitch. You stay on the boat. You're going down with the ship. Except this isn't like the Titanic. You're going to be fucking fine. Health and safety is our priority. I love your students. You don't love them that much. Oh, I hate when they say that. I can't wait to get back and see my kids. Shut the fuck up. They're not your kids. They were never your kids. You're paid by the state to teach them. And I couldn't stand when teachers did that. I was never one of those teachers, right? Oh my God, I love my kids. Shut up. Oh my God, you don't love your students at all. Anyway, they've meshed it with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, and they've turned it into they've completely changed the narrative, right? I've said this before and I'll say it again. If the mostly white MTA refuses to go back to school, and consequently Black, brown, impoverished, and special needs kids are disproportionately affected by this, which they will be. Because unlike kids who come from more wealthy backgrounds, kids who come from impoverished backgrounds don't have the option to like have a parent home with them, right? To make sure that they're doing work, to supplement their education, to have a tutor, whatever. They don't have that option. So they are going to fall further and further behind. Parents who value educational or have the financial resources to assist, they'll figure out a way, right? They'll figure out a way. But they don't care that they're hurting these mostly are disproportionately Black and brown kids that they supposedly love. But they've turned it around. Now they're actually saying that it's racist if we do go back. And the answer to that, I mean, I could not fucking believe this quote. I could not believe this quote from the teachers union head. What the hell is this name? Mary with an M-E-R, like Merry Christmas. Mary Najimi from Concord. She looks like every fucking, suburban white liberal woman ever from a wealthy Metro West town. Look at her. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, Jesus. So Bernie Bro, of course, Rachel Rollins supporter, all this stuff. This is an actual quote from her. First of all, let's hear her voice before we go further. You just got to hear this woman's voice to understand how terrible she is.
Laid off in pre-K-12, rescind the furloughs and the layoffs and the closing of programs at higher ed at 99.
Education.
I want to find it on.
Our power lies in the 10,000 of you that are here today, in the 16,000 of you that registered, in the 18,000
hall workers. Back to you.
Generally would encourage, not just and as and then there's a lot of aspects.
Everything that you just heard in terms of close contact, not more than 10 minutes, how particles spread, air circulation. Think about your own building. How prepared is your building to meet the 19 standards that Rachel laid out for you? Do you feel your building is fully prepared?
Okay, so you've had how many months to figure this out, to figure out a way to get your building fully prepared? Figure it out, right? I'm so sick of them being like, well, you'll figure it out, right? Well, it's not my job to figure it out. It's your job to figure it out. You teach my kid, that's it. Your salary comes from the taxpayers. How quickly they've forgotten this. And if my 5-year-old kid is doing a Zoom call, she can't do it on her own. So I got to sit there, right? And how long is the Zoom call going to last? 30 minutes? Then what? Then you're going to give her some project? She's fucking 5. What's she going to do? And who's going to supervise that project? Me. I am. So am I getting paid for this? No. I'm paying you to do a job that I'm doing because you're scared for your health, because your health is so fucking important, right? The person working at Price Chopper, right? Firefighters, cops, nurses, their health isn't fucking important. Your health is important, right? I mean, Jesus, every single one of these people who's like refusing to go back to work should be fucking fired. And I'm a union supporter too. But these people are a goddamn fucking disgrace. They should be ashamed of themselves. You're a disgrace to your profession. You total cowards. Listen to these people.
Somewhat prepared or not prepared. Let's saying we are obliged to protect our students.
We're obliged.
And we believe we will not return to the buildings. We will resume instruction from home until the point by which the state can.
Now listen to this kid.
Look at this.
This is the
More slides.
This is the union diversity guy. Of course, he's white. So he's talking about how coronavirus affects Black and brown people.
So if you average out of the cases that we have racial data on,
imagine being in this kid's class. I'd be so bored.
And Latino
people
people are getting infected at rates many times higher.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So let's look at the next slide.
Oh, okay. Here's a slide.
So this is what Massachusetts looks like.
Okay.
And you can see that most of the district.
If I ever taught a class this way, I'd kill if I was ever in a class like this and the teacher taught like this, I would kill myself. If I had to listen to this guy's voice all day, I'd kill myself. There's a reason that people like this rise in the union, because they can't teach. Like if you were in this guy's class, I'm already bored with him already, and I'm a grown-up. Imagine a kid sitting in this guy's class. Like, oh, okay, well, here's a PowerPoint presentation, and let's look at the data. So they're going to look at the data here.
Most of the counties, the Black and Latino populations are contracting the virus at more than twice the rate.
Oh,
so
okay.
Let's take a look at 3 of the hardest counties overall.
Okay, so Black and Latino.
So next slide is Middlesex.
Okay.
So in Middlesex County, just take a look at that data.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, that data obviously translates into real human suffering, particularly in our predominantly Black and brown communities.
Okay, so, well, this is their favorite thing is coronavirus is racist because more Black and brown people have contracted coronavirus suffering. You don't even fucking know you have it most of the time, idiot. They're not suffering. The people who are dying on ventilators are suffering. Most people who don't get it are fucking fine. They're not suffering. Oi, we got to end that stigma that like getting COVID's a fucking death sentence. Who cares if you get COVID? Doesn't matter. I've been asking to get COVID for fucking 3 months now. Remember I volunteered to have your grandmother cough on me if she's got it? I'll do that still. That offer still stands, baby. But anyway, the idea that why are African-American or Latino people getting COVID at higher rates? It's really simple. Places like Lawrence and Chelsea and Roxbury, right, where there are significantly large, diverse, you know, rainbow coalition populations, they're jammed in there like sardines. It's really not that hard to figure out. They live on top of each other. There's a reason New York was the epicenter of all this, because that's what happens when you live on top of each other. You interact with each other more. You breathe on each other. There was no way possible to stop the spread of COVID. Lockdowns didn't do shit. It was our destiny to have this many people. It was going to happen. There was no way it could not happen. There's nothing anybody could do. The only thing you could do is stop sending infected people into nursing homes. That's it. But they did that anyway. But this idea that it's, you know, attacking them somehow is ridiculous. White people tend to are more spread out. That's just how it is. So by their logic, they're saying we shouldn't reopen schools because if we reopen schools, then it's more likely Black and brown kids are more likely to get the virus. What? That doesn't make any sense. Black and brown kids are getting the virus because they live on top of each other more often than white kids do. That's why they've gotten the virus at higher rates. So, and even think of that, right? It isn't that racist in and of itself as a reason to not bring kids back, right? Because if the idea is shouldn't they want white kids to get it for it to spread a little bit? Like, how can you say that if we reopen schools, right? Black kids and white kids might interact more, and then the virus will spread to the white kids who aren't getting it according to these stats. They're not getting it at the same rates. So your solution to this is to continue to segregate, continue to like live in your predominantly Latino neighborhood and just spread it amongst yourselves. We don't want you infecting the white kids. That's what they're fucking saying. These people are so goddamn racist. It's insane. It's insane. Just read this woman's comment. It's like, you got to do. While the commissioner is pitting the emotional well-being of our students against each and every community in Massachusetts, we won't take that. We've learned from the intersection of COVID and Black Lives Matter that people of color, our educators and students of color, due to systemic racism, have pre-existing conditions that leave them with worse outcomes. She actually said that systemic racism is a pre-existing condition for Black. That's why they're getting COVID, right? Because of systemic racism. These people are insane. These people are educating our kids. It's insane that anybody this stupid could be in charge of teaching my kid how to read and write. Madness. So, yeah, I mean, just some of these signs are absolutely absurd. What else do we have here? I mean, look at some of these other ones that they have. Let's see some signs. Never mind the protests themselves, in which they're next to each other. They're not afraid to be around each other. They just don't want to be around your kid. Now, my life is not expendable. Fist up in the air. I mean, look at these women. Good Lord, with their Dunkin' Donuts and their fupas. Oh, good Lord, you look ridiculous. You look ridiculous. Goodness gracious. I love this one. What does it say? One death is too many. 100% remote this fall. I'm a paraprofessional. I'm not expendable. First of all, yes, you are. You're all expendable. And secondly, one death is not too many. This is what Cuomo said too. His whole idea that like one death is one death too many. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's okay if one person dies. It's okay if a few people die. I hate to say it. I don't know how many. There has to be a limit to how many people you're willing to like let die. I mean, with anything. I mean, think of that question. Would you guys, if we had schools permanently closed and it guaranteed that no teachers or students ever died, would you keep the schools closed? I wouldn't. Because life is about taking chances, right? Life is about living. And if you just say, well, yeah, if I hide in my house all the time, I can't die. What? One death is not too many. And secondly, it's like, that's like saying that, well, one death is too many we should cancel police. Although these people might like that. We should not have police because a cop at Rutland died. One death is too many. Can't have that. We should just get rid of police. We can't afford to have anybody get this virus ever. Nobody should go out. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And this intersection, like they all participated in the Black Lives Matter rally, of course, but of course it doesn't spread there, etc. All right. Any questions you guys have? Feel free to ask away. Let me hit that, refresh that button. Oh yeah. Let me read off a couple donos here. We have from Michelle, says, as the mother of 3 teenagers who didn't learn a thing this spring, your blogs on the school situation are keeping me sane. Thank you for continuing to do what you do. My pleasure, Michelle. And I'm glad to I get that a lot from people, is that like, I help you know, like Turtleboy helps you know that there are other people out there who are thinking the same things that you're thinking, that like, you're not alone. You're not insane. You're not the crazy one here. They're the crazy ones. And that the things that you're thinking are completely normal, right? Because you're absolutely right. A lot of people are thinking that. 7-pounder says, I support investigative journalism. I'm looking forward to your next Monica Cannon Grant blog. Yes, I'm going to get on that this week. Tell us more about the Turtle Club. You know I'm in. So I'm going to I'll have more information on that. I do have an announcement about the golf tournament. So it is set in stone. The Turtleboy first annual golf tournament is taking place in Paxton on Columbus Day. We got Columbus Day. And it is Columbus Day, not Indigenous Peoples Day. It's Columbus Day. So I'm going to start having an online sign up for that. And there'll be food and stuff afterwards. It'll be a big event. It's going to be a shotgun thing where everybody starts at the same time on a different hole. I'll get all the information out there, prices and everything. But it is going to be on Columbus Day. I wanted to do it when it was like a little bit cooler, and they can only do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So I'm like, what better Monday than Columbus Day? So that is happening. All right. So any other questions that you guys have? What if I don't play golf? It's going to be hard to play a golf tournament then. You're going to rap battle the West Brookfield. I forgot about him. I got to get him on. He does not have Down syndrome either. People are saying that first. I can see that when you look at the eyes. The guy lives on his own. He's got like girlfriends and shit. Like, he can probably drive a car. He's just a fucking asshole. Anyway, any other questions? Call him? All right, let's give him a call. I'll give him a call. Okay, let's call him. What's his name again? I'm all right. Chris Matheson, right? Or Chris. What was his name? What was his last name again? Was it Chris Matheson? Is page gone? MC McSquid, Chris the Rival. That's what it was. Chris the Rival. Let's see what he's up to here. Did he make his page all private and shit? Or no? Okay, let me try the other one. Chris the Rival, Paul Marino. Chris the Rival, Matheson. What's his more up-to-date one? I'm surprised he hasn't talked about it yet. So this is what he's written now. Let me switch. Check out his page real quick. This is another one I want to do on the weekend. What's he saying here? Once you hit the spotlight, you will see people's true colors. Who's on your side and who's not. Well, guess what? I'm doing an interview on my opinions on police court matters, social injustice, and discrimination against humans who suffer from mental disorders and alcoholism. And no, I did not overdose on alcohol. There's way more to it, but that's none of your business, Mr. Turtleboy. Thanks. Oh, he's talking. So is he doing an interview with me? Let me add him as a friend. Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, yo. Says he's doing an interview. Let's call him. Not reachable. We'll try to book him for this weekend. We'll try to book him for this weekend. All right. Any more questions, guys? Before we call it a night? It's a good weekend topic. It's already Tuesday. We've already got like a full slate for the weekend. He says he's doing an interview, though. That's news to me. He hasn't messaged me about it. What the fuck? Thanks, Vic. It's time for me to clean up my name. He is addicted to Coors Light, too. I've never seen it. It's a great topic for this weekend. I can't wait. The course is on Marshall Street. That's correct. It's Kettlebrook Golf Club in Paxton. It's right on Marshall Street. You get there through Worcester or Spencer or Leicester, one of those. What do you think of Biden's chancellors will allow him to debate? Now they're denying that he didn't want to debate. They were denying it today. They're calling it a conservative lie that Biden doesn't want to debate. They don't want to debate. Does it feel like there's an election in 3 months? Because I don't get that feeling. And Donald Trump did that fucking stupid interview yesterday, man. If he loses, it's all his fault. I mean, this is entirely avoidable. Entirely avoidable. Sometimes I feel like he's trying to lose. Like, does he even want to get reelected? I don't know. There was so much more, like 4 years ago, there was so much more hype going into that election. Like, Donald Trump was out there. He was hungry. He just seems like tortoise in the hare situation right now. Like, he's like so convinced that Biden's an idiot that he can't imagine how anyone would vote for him. But he's going to find out quickly. A lot of people are going to vote for him. That interview was amazing. Not to go away. Yeah, it was good for your team, Laura. Not so good for my team. I mean, he just winged it. I mean, he thinks he's fucking more charming than he is. He's really good. Teleprompter Trump, State of the Union Trump is great. Composed, awesome, insightful. You're like, man, this guy's fucking good. But then off the cuff Trump, where he just thinks he can schmooze you over, which he tried to do yesterday, and he looked like a moron. It's like, oh my God. Beriut explosion thoughts, fucking crazy, man. That explosion was like nothing I've ever seen. I really don't know much about it. I haven't read much about it, but when you think of Beriut, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is bomb, right? There's been terrorist attacks there before. It's right in the freaking heart of Hezbollah, right? or is that Hamas? I always get them confused. I don't know if they had anything to do with it, but that was fucking crazy, man. Insane. You see the church fire in Weymouth Landing? I did not. It was a gas main, not a bomb. So there you go. You know more about it than I do. I just know it's fucking crazy. Did you see the Worcester Public Schools proposal that went out? Only 1 day in school? That's insane. The cities are going to be harder to do than the towns, because like they asked us in Holden, like, are you willing to drive your kid to school? Because that matters a lot, the busing. And I would, but like in Worcester, that's going to be a lot harder. The Worcester school buses are crowded with kids. They used to jam us in there. And a lot of these kids, they don't have parents that can drive them to school. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. But I mean, how long? I mean, this is a real question for you guys. Like, I don't know the answer to this. How long are people going to put up with this? Because it's popular. Like shutting down everything. People are like, oh, thank you for making me feel safe. How long are going to people put up with this? That it's just like, you're going to keep, okay, so we're just not going to have school. Huh? Okay, we're just not going to have school? Remote learning? How long are we going to do that for? We're going to do 1 quarter. I got news for you. It's not going to be 1 quarter. There is a 0.0% chance when November comes around, any of these school districts doing remote learning are suddenly going to be like, yeah, let's go back. It's not going to happen. Right? There's not going to be fall sports in Massachusetts, even though they claim there's going to be. They're not going to do it. They're not going to let kids play soccer. They're not going to let kids do cross country. And cross country, you're like breathing on each other, right next to each other, the whole fucking race. They're not going to let kids do that. And that's outdoor sports. Wait till winter. You think they're going to have fucking basketball or wrestling or cheerleading? They're not going to have any of that shit. I mean, that's a real question. How long? I'm amazed people allowed this to go on for more than 2 weeks. But the longer it goes on, there's absolutely no rising sentiment to end it. Like, and polls are showing that like 70% of Americans favor mandatory mask rules. People like it. We are the minority here. I don't know. Like how, I'm sure most of you are on my team because that's why you're here. But you have to understand, most people don't think like us. Because until there is a vaccine, it's always out there. And what are we going to do? We're just literally going to cancel school until there is one? Give me a break. I don't think we should do that, but apparently some people are down for it. It's crazy. Mike Tyson or Roy Jones Jr. I don't know. How are they even in the same weight class? Mike Tyson now weighs in like 50 pounds in his prime, right? Did Roy Jones Jr. just get fat? That's going to be a great fight, though. I'm all for college athletes. They need to play. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think of this. So in the South, they've already, God bless the South. They've already started football practice in Texas and Tennessee and Mississippi and Alabama. They've already started football practice. They're playing football this fall. There's been like 3 or 4 states that have canceled completely. They're all northern states. So I have a hard time believing, like, what if you're a Division I prospect? You're like a 4-star football athlete trying to get, scouted to be in a Division I college next year, and your state just cancels football. What do you do? Like, do you move to a football state? This is madness. It's so unfair what we're doing to kids. Yeah, the South gets it. The South understands, like, football is life. I don't want to live in a country without football. I'm not willing to. I'd rather die. Like, I'd rather get COVID any day of the week. And like, you can't tell people in Alabama that you're just, there's not going to be an Iron Bowl this year, guys, because, fucking COVID. Think people that give a shit about COVID? I wish we were like that. Yeah, I mean, what's with all these pussy professional athletes, too? I mean, why the hell is Dante Hightower saying he's not playing football? I expected that from David Price because he's a pussy. And even Marcus Cannon, I can understand it because he's a big boy. People like Marcus Cannon are more vulnerable to this disease than Dante Hightower. Why the hell is Dante Hightower and Patrick Chung not playing football? It's insane. Patrick Chung's like 33 or 34 years old. He doesn't have many years left, and he's just going to take a year off? What? All right, last minute questions before we call it a night. Hockey's playing. Yeah, but hockey and basketball they're in the bubble. It's easy to contain the virus inside the bubble. They're literally cut off from the outside world, except for, when Lou Williams goes to the strip club once in a while. But other than that, they're cut off. The NFL is not going to do that. College football is not going to do that. Baseball is not doing that, and there's outbreaks on teams. Like the Marlins and the Cardinals have had outbreaks. But again, who cares? Like that's the way you got to start looking at this. Is like, yes, it will spread. Who cares? Doesn't matter if it spreads because you're not going to die. Stop thinking that it's this awful death sentence to get fucking COVID. Jesus Christ. When do we become a bunch of cucks? I don't know the exact date on that. It's a good question. Probably after World War II. I feel like after World War II, people didn't have anything like World War II was the greatest generation lived through an era in which men were men and like they were fighting for something constantly. They were trying not to like die of starvation. They were fighting the Japanese and the Germans. And then America became the most prosperous country on earth after that, right? We had unprecedented economic growth and rapid rise of the suburbs and air conditioning, and society just got way too comfortable and nobody got punched in the face anymore, right? And America lost its grizzled, toxic masculinity. And here we are now. Here we are now, hiding from a fucking virus. Should we call the MIAA? First of all, the MIAA is not going to listen to you. They are the most useless, corrupt organization on earth. The director of the MIAA makes like $300,000 a year off of, they force districts to pay them to set up tournaments. There's no reason to MIAA to even exist. And they asked them, like, if there's no sports in the fall, are you going to continue to pay yourself a full salary? And they said, yes. But what if there's no tournaments? What are you there for? So you can call them if you want. They're just going to ignore you. Rosie the Riveter has turned into Karen the Snitch. I like that one. I like that one, Andrew. We got to get a poster for that. Karen the Snitch. Get on that, Turtle Riders. Give me a poster for Karen the Snitch. But make it look like Rosie. And instead of we can do it, say, you can't do that. Oh my God. He doesn't have a mask on. Where can I get your shirt? I sold out of these a couple years ago, but sorry, I don't have any left. There's other shirts in the Turtle Boy store though. There's a tab at the top of both websites. All right, any more questions, guys? Before we call it a night. All right, guys. So I guess we'll see you all on Thursday night for the next episode of Turtle Boy Live. Peace, Turtle Riders.